So Ben Shapiro dropped this video, let's say 2 days ago, called "The New Woke is Here and It's More Dangerous." So we just talked about Tucker Carlson and his insane views and how he's kind of trying to destroy the country and how un-American basically Tucker Carlson is. And he's part of kind of this new woke or the dissident right or whatever you want to call it. And so let's speak about it. Let's have Ben Shapiro speak about it. Oh.
The question on everybody's mind, even just a few months ago, was, is woke dead? Topic of great debate. People were worried about the return of DEI, cancel culture, the BLM at Mafia. But it's not really a question of woke returning. Why? Well, because you already heard it here first. Woke is back, and it has transmuted into something way, way worse. I'll explain all of this with this clip of AOC, the queen of woke 2.0 that went viral over the weekend. Let's dive in.
Francesca Hong has made clear her present stances to her electorate.
Yeah, she's moved away from a lot
right,
of that.
she's moved away from it. And I have a
Great question. Allegiance to Israel or USA? I love the question. Thank you. Very kind question. I live in America, and I love America, and I'm born and raised in America, and I'm an American Jew and an American first. So my allegiance is to the United States of America. Do I believe in the Talmud? Never read the Talmud, never even opened up the Talmud. And so the Talmud also isn't a book of law, so I don't follow it. I follow the Torah, just like all Jews do. That's the book of law. So thank you for your questions and your concerns on this matter. Let's continue with Ben Shapiro.
local city councilman that has this saying woke one was crazy.
Woke one was crazy. Okay, that's
and I think that what's important is that we have to assess what
was it. I mean, did the movement go too
now.
far with some of those positions? I mean, you briefly supported the idea of defunding the police.
Well, I think that during this time and during
You briefly supported defunding the police so we can have no protection. Was that too far?
Especially during COVID, there was a huge opening of the Overton window. We were shut down. There was some of the highest unemployment.
Glad you are USA first, at least. What does at least mean? I mean, I still think I'm pro-Israel. I still think we should have a partnership and allyship with them. I think it's mutually beneficial. But I live in America, and I want this country to thrive and survive and be the best it possibly could be. But I'm also Jewish, and that's really important to me.
Rates that we have seen because of those shutdowns.
Yeah.
And I think that the doors were really open in trying to entertain any and every policy that was going to get us to a better place.
Give me 7 days and I'll place a proven appointment setter or a closer inside of your business. And if you don't perform, you don't pay. Now, this is specifically.
Okay, let's start with this. Shut up. Like, really, just shut it. Just shut it. You did this, and you don't get to blow it off. Oh, it was like a weird thing. It was a weird time, and we did woke, and it was like, it just had some issues, like, oh my God, but now, like, it's different, like, oh my God. November 7th, 2021, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, quote, one dangerous aspect of thinking there is a woke problem is that Democratic chances for re-election or majorities in House, Senate, and White House rely on the racial justice issue of voting rights. Dems distancing from racial justice makes protection of voting rights less likely, ensuring losses. I mean, she was defending woke all the way through. Quote, woke is a term pundits are now using as a derogatory euphemism for civil rights and justice. Making up a woke problem results in putting civil and voting rights on the back burner. In a year, state legislatures are planning out GOP.
Do we think like AOC is actually going to run for president, or Kamala Harris going to run again, or Gavin Newsom? Like, who are they going to put out there that's not a kind of a absolute lunatic?
Majorities and voter suppression, that's dangerous. People think Fox News is just about indoctrinating right-wingers, but it's also about conditioning Dems on what to run away from. Framing racial justice as controversial is key to delaying the protection of voting rights and others until it's too late. We shouldn't indulge it. So again, 2021, AOC, woke and woke and woke again. But now woke 1.0, oh man, I can't believe it did it. Oh my God. Okay, so just let's be clear that woke had actual human consequences, including a gigantic ass homicide spike that happened during woke. This is a chart sourced from CDC statistics that shows the gigantic spike in murder in the United States after George Floyd, for example. And of course, we saw $2 billion in property damage, and we saw a vast spate of careers destroyed and lives ruined by woke 1.0. So her kind of just dismissing it. Oh, woke. Yeah, it's a funny, silly thing we did when we were younger, when we were the youngins. Okay, but I want to get to the difference between woke 1.0 and woke 2.0. When she says woke 1 is dead, she means woke 2 is on the way. So what is the distinction? Okay, so.
Well, woke 2 is, it's here. It's not on the way. It's fucking, it's
woke
here, baby.
1.0. First of all, again, building on the, normally when you build a 2.0, that means that you're building on the bones of 1.0. Right? If you're talking about the Apple 2.0 version, you mean the better version of Apple 1.0. So if you think woke sucked, you probably shouldn't build 2.0 of it. But what was 1.0? So 1.0, the chief proposition of woke 1.0 was that racism lay at the core of American society. The system was born in racism, bred in racism, uncorrectable, and the system needed to be torn down. It was the 1619 Project, right? America was born in racism. It was born from slavery. Now, woke 1.0 was originally crafted during the Obama administration. It was crafted in 2012, 2013, when Obama decided to move away from the unifying messages of 2008 and instead argue that America was inherently racist, its systems were inherently racist, and this is how you got Ferguson, and this is how you got Trayvon Martin, and this is how you got the George Floyd scenario later. Again, it was metastasized and fully unleashed in 2020. And it cost billions of dollars and probably thousands of lives, and it was a massive disaster for America. Now, what was it popular with? The form of wokeness, woke 1.0. It was very popular basically with white liberal Americans and black Americans, but nobody else. So if you think back to the faces of woke 1.0, that would be people like Nicole Hannah-Jones or Ibram X. Kendi. AOC was kind of an awkward, weird fellow traveler in woke 1.0. Now, the problem for the left is that Americans ended up rejecting woke 1.0. That is because...
Sunshine, thank you for the follow. Political lifter, I love you, man. I love you. Thank you.
One, Americans don't believe that American ideas are founded on racism. We don't think the Declaration and Constitution are rooted in racism. And two, woke 1.0 is kind of self-refuting, right? If the idea is that American society and Americans in general are white supremacists, Americans don't believe that about themselves, right? We know too many people of other races. We can look around in our society and see that racism is not the predominant factor. And so at a certain point, most Americans figured that it was BS. And that included not just white Americans, but also Hispanic Americans and Asian Americans. Like, the reason woke died is because woke was taken to the logical extreme, which is that everything was discrimination. Okay, so woke 1.0, it ran into a problem. So what is woke 2.0? This is the real question. So if woke 1.0 argued that racism was at the root of the system, woke 2.0 argues that capitalism is at the root of the system, and capitalism is the problem. So it's not that capitalism is an outgrowth of racism. Racism is an outgrowth of capitalism. So woke 1.0 argued that free markets arose from white supremacy. This was an explicit argument made by the 1619 Project, that white supremacy undergirded free markets. Woke 2.0 argues that everything bad comes from capitalism, right? That white supremacy and imperialism and colonialism, these were all...
Pause, Ben. Let's answer this question. How's your miserable life going? That's a great question. Well, my life is fucking awesome. You know, I got a beautiful wife, 2 parents that are still healthy and live down the road from me. I have a son who's almost a year old. So yeah, miserable, is probably the wrong word. I'm the luckiest man in the world to be living the life that I do. So thank you for the question, though. And God bless. I hope your life is as good as it can be.
Results of free markets and property rights. Now, Bernie said this back in 2016, and he was kind of mocked for it because the idea was he didn't get the racial struggle. But now it's back. But the face is not white guy Bernie or titularly Jewish guy Bernie. Now there is a different face. Think of the faces of woke 2.0. Who are the faces of woke 2.0? That'd be Zoran Mamdani, Abdul Al-Sayed, Hassan Piker.
Hassan
Woke
Piker,
1.0 was Robin DiAngelo and Ibram X. Kendi. American society is racist. Everything is fruit of that poisonous tree. Woke 2.0 is Edward Said, the former Columbia University professor and professional liar, who said that America's failure is that we are basically a corrupt empire. We are a corrupt empire whose capitalism corrupted the earth, and everything that happens everywhere else on earth that's bad and at home is due to our terrible free market system. And who better to represent America as a corrupt empire than victims of that corrupt empire? People from outside America who can come back to America and tell us what we do wrong. Because we live over here, right? Things are kind of okay. But if you can come from outside and explain to us that the reason that we have shortcomings in our life is the same as they had shortcomings, but their shortcomings were so much worse than ours, but they both come from the same source, which is not white supremacy. It's just capitalism. That's sexy. Because again, woke 1.0 forced Americans to say, am I racist or am I not? That was the question you were supposed to ask, right? That was the Matt Walsh question. Am I racist?
Yeah, it was, yeah. Everything and all things were racist. All white people were bad and should pay reparations. It's exhausting. I mean, you still see some people kind of peddling that narrative. But it has kind of switched to the, woke 2 narrative that Ben is explaining here. Love from Israel. Cheers. God bless.
Woke 2.0 is American capitalism inherently corrupting and bad? Right? Is America's free market system, is the West's system of freedoms and free markets inherently imperialistic, colonialist, genocidal, and racist? Right? But that comes from its free market, private property rights system. This is why the key issue of woke 1.0 was George Floyd or Ferguson, Missouri. And the key issue for woke 2.0 is Gaza. Right? This is why you're sitting around going, like, why the hell are we talking about the Gaza Strip? It's a tiny strip of land that's very far away, like 8,000 miles away. Why? Well, the answer is because woke 2.0 is about the idea that everything bad that happens on planet Earth must be the result of terrible Westernism. Westernism is responsible for genocide, right? That's the false word they use about Gaza. So you have to ignore all the context, all the history, all the reality, but you can get there. Now, again, woke 2.0 is actually nothing new. It's actually woke 0.0, right? Because it's just pure uncut Marxism. If you go far back enough to the beginning of the 20th century, one of the key arguments of the post-Marxism, because again, there's sort of Marx as expressed in the Communist Manifesto or Das Kapital, and then...
I don't think, Nick Fuentes mentioned these two people earlier. Fuentes mentioned Crowder and Shapiro, and obviously Crowder and Shapiro don't align on everything. But they are both conservatives, but they both understand kind of the threat that DSA and Marxism and communism pose, and how getting in kind of sort of whitewashing how bad Islam is also an issue. So anyways.
There was the sort of rejiggering of Marx when it turned out that he was wrong about everything. So Marx made a prediction. His prediction was that capitalism would impoverish workers. It leads to the immiseration of the population. And it turns out that was totally false, that actually capitalism raised wages, capitalism made better stuff, and materially people were better off because of capitalism. So then the left had to do a sort of rejiggering and reinterpretation of Marx. And so they did this at the beginning of the 20th century. A Marxist named J.A. Hobson argued famously in 1902 that imperialism was an outgrowth of capitalism. He argued that basically the excess wealth and savings accumulated under capitalism led to imperialist profit-seeking abroad. So there was too much money in the West, so we had to somehow spend that money somewhere, so we had to conquer other places. Now, that's total crap. It's nonsense. But it was, in fact, crucial to sort of the Marxist movement in the early 20th century. Vladimir Lenin.
Rob, I'm going to hop back over to your YouTube. Fuentes and Crowder debate was pretty interesting. Did you just cover a Crowder vid? Or I just saw I just watched the Nick Fuentes video earlier on the stream, where he's basically saying that Nick Fuentes is saying that Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro, whether you like him or not, are actually real human beings. What you see is what you get, and that Tucker Carlson is a facade. He's fake, and he's just covered in shit. And that's what Nick Fuentes said. And I just watched that video earlier on X of Nick Fuentes saying that.
Wrote about it explicitly in his most famous early work titled Imperialism, the Highest Stage of Capitalism. So 1917, Lenin wrote this. And you tell me this doesn't sound exactly like Bernie Sanders or Zohar Mamdani or Abdul El-Sayed or Hassan Piker. Quote, capitalism has grown into a world system of colonial oppression and of the financial strangulation of the...
missed a few chats on YouTube. Let's check them out. My brother is a full-blown liberal, but he was correct about Tucker Carlson. I would hope that Tucker and Candace Owens are being investigated. They are concerning. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. No doubt.
The overwhelming majority of the people of the world by a handful of advanced countries. And this booty is shared between 2 or
Hello, Olivia.
3 powerful world marauders armed to the teeth who involve the whole world in their war over the sharing of their booty. Right? That's Lenin in 1917 and also Mamdani and El-Sayed and Piker and all the rest today. And AOC, by the way. It is also increasingly the horseshoe right, again, which sees America as a corrupt empire and sees all of that as an outgrowth of individualistic free markets.
So I just launched the craziest deal that I've ever done. I have 100 spots available at a 33.
You know what is a funny thing that happens when you build a business? At some point, it actually becomes a real business. You've got employees and benefits and contracts and about 1,000 by Supershore Insurance Agency, LLC, a licensed insurance agency. Go check them out right now and make this part of your life easier. Supershore.com/Shapiro. That's supershore.com/Shapiro. Again, I could read that same quote again, and it would sound exactly like, say, Tucker Carlson or Adrian Vermeule. So again, Woke 1.0 was mostly white people and some black people saying that America is racist. That's what America is about. The West is racist. It's white supremacist. Woke 2.0 is white people and some brown people, predominantly foreigners, telling us that American capitalism is responsible for all these things. Free markets are responsible for all these things. The systems of the West are responsible for all these things. So it's easier to pitch Woke 2.0 than Woke 1.0. Why? Well, one, Iraq derangement syndrome. So Americans have been convinced over the course of the last 25 years or so that actually America is the bad guy, that we and our allies are fundamentally evil, that our foreign policy decisions of the past 2 decades, and maybe longer, going all the way back to World War II, according to some, are actually terrible and horrible, and we're the bad guys in the world. And second, there's a lot of economic angst right now. Combine those two things, a belief that America is a nefarious power globally.
Sam H, what's up, man? How are you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, only Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm on during the day. I do like a little morning stream. Otherwise, I'm doing wrestling shows at the evening, or really just on Monday for that. But anyways.
And our economic angst. And you get Woke 2.0. This is AOC's new program. It's the program of Abdullah El-Sayed and Zohar Mamdani too. Again, it's just old school Leninism with some brown foreign faces at the front, the supposed victims of the system. It's actually the dream of Jean-Paul Sartre, the far left communist who wrote back in the 1960s, quote, this is about Western civilization. It's our turn to tread the path step by step, which leads down to native level. But to become natives altogether, our soil must be occupied by a formerly colonized people, and we must starve of hunger, right? That would be just desserts for us. So why is it working? So Peggy Noonan has a piece over the weekend in the Wall Street Journal talking about why socialism is working. And she basically says it's ignorance and economic upset. That voters who are young saw the 2008 economic crash and got black-pilled on capitalism.
Well, it's working because they're using the real life that's happening with people, of like people struggling and not being able to pay for stuff and things being very expensive. That's real. And they're using that emotional tie to say, well, if you switch to these ideas, then everything is free, which is obviously not true. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Even, free healthcare is not free. It's being paid somehow, some way, because the people that are doing the healthcare services are being paid. So where's that money coming from? It's all part of the system. But some people struggling to use fucking Tucker Carlson's stupid reference, a burrito or go to Del Taco. And now someone's saying that like, well, it'll be free and going to the grocery store is free and everything is free. I'm emotionally going to tie into that, even though it's not right. And we need to think more logically about what it could lead to and what it has led to in the past.
And AI is scaring them. And also they don't remember the Cold War. And also institutional trust is down. And a lot of that is true. But there's something else going on here. A deep and abiding hatred of America that's being projected back on America now. This is not just about questions of the economy. That's not what this is. It's not just questions about the economy. It is about hatred of America. Hatred of America. And AOC is trying to capitalize on all of this. And here she was saying that millennials are an angry generational tsunami at the polls.
Even right now, when we look at this insurgent wave of what is happening, oftentimes when people are doing that Monday morning quarterbacking and what demographics voted where, the big one that's being ignored is the generational tidal wave.
Tsunami. You see it in the polling. It is significant.
Millennials are not, punk kids anymore.
Yeah.
We're grown adults with mortgages and kids, and
well, not you.
That generation is starting to be decisive at the polls.
And
there is anger at being ignored, sidelined, having our economic futures mortgaged by the generations that came before us on everything from the economy to climate. And we're taking the reins.
Right. Again, the olds are bad. Right. Them and their old-fashioned values, they're bad. And America's the bad guy in the world. Again, The America's the bad guy in the world is the feature, not the bug for these folks. This is the feature, not the bug. This created a bit of an awkwardness for Abdul El-Sayed. So Abdul El-Sayed, because, again, the left decided to support Ukraine against Russia because they decided that Russia was pro-Trump for whatever dumb reason. Abdul El-Sayed, the Democratic Senate candidate in Michigan, he was asked on Meet the Press why he supports funding for Ukraine but not Israel. And he ignores the obvious answer, which is that he hates Jews. But here he was trying to explain the difference. And the difference is not the difference.
You, just you, building your app on base 44.
So yeah.
You're saying you would not support sending aid to Israel, which was attacked by Hamas, but you have also said that you would support sending military aid to Ukraine, which was, of course, attacked and invaded by Russia. Where do you draw the line there?
Well,
I draw the line in that the fact that I hate Jews, and that's why I wouldn't send Israel money. That's why. Doesn't matter if innocent people die. Doesn't matter who attacked who. I hate Jews.
in Ukraine, you're talking about attacks from a leader of a neighboring sovereign country who clearly violated international law in attempting to breach the sovereignty of the Ukrainian public. That is conditional on that circumstance. We have been offering unconditional foreign military aid to Israel, independent of the circumstances, for years and years and years. And might I say, it's not just Israel, it's also Egypt, it's also Jordan, it's also Saudi Arabia. That's the difference. It's about the conditions. So when we're talking about taking on Putin and his violation of international law, I do believe we have a responsibility to uphold international law and therefore to support Ukraine in its efforts.
This is a joke. Obviously, he's lying. I mean, because again, a border was breached. Hamas murdered 1,200 people. And if one of the conditions would be, use it against Hamas, Israel's been doing that. But again, this is all part and parcel of the broader take that Sayed has on America, which is that America is bad. Right? So he was campaigning with Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker is a radical leftist who loves China and hates America. Hates America, okay? Again, double underline. Despises the United States. Despises it.
Yeah, it's very clear at this point that Hassan Piker hates America, but wants to enjoy all of the beautiful things that America can offer people, like being able to stream for 8 hours a day and become rich because of it.
With Hassan Piker. And he was asked about that fact. He says, well, America didn't deserve 9/11, but we should get out of cancel culture. Weird that you call it cancel culture when you say you shouldn't campaign with the America deserved 9/11 guy. Weird.
When asked about Hassan Piker's comments on 9/11, Senator Bernie Sanders called it a dumb statement. Do you agree? Do you disavow those comments that America deserved 9/11?
Of course. Of course, it was a dumb statement. And of course, I think Hassan himself would say that was a dumb statement. He disavowed it. So yes, America didn't deserve 9/11. But, to sit here and play gotcha politics with a dumb thing somebody said out of context that they disavowed themselves to say, oh, well, what does that mean about what you think? I want to be held accountable for what I say and what I do. Rather than this idea that we're so stuck in cancel culture that all of us agreed was a bad idea back in 2020, but we seem to want to bring back.
Okay, give me a break. All of us agreed Woke 1.0 was cancel culture. It was, we cancel you for saying boys are not girls and for saying that America is not.
Yeah. No, people should be held accountable for what they say. No need to be canceled. No one's saying that Hassan Piker should be thrown off Twitch. No one's saying that. He's going to stream for 8 hours a day and have a platform regardless. But he said stupid shit like he loves Mao and America deserved 9/11. He should be held accountable for those statements. And what does he mean? And can he add context to it? And can he explain furthermore? And the people that support him, do they agree with those statements? And what does that mean for America and people and all these types of things? These things are important to understand. No one's saying cancel him, throw him off the platforms. It's fucking so dumb.
Systemically racist. What a liar. And by the way, it's an entire cohesive worldview. He shouldn't be campaigning with Hassan Piker, not because Hassan Piker said something about 9/11, but because his entire worldview is built around hatred of the United States. That would be the reason. By the way, again, this is the same Abdul El-Sayed back in 2020 saying that he hated Mackinac Island. Okay, Mackinac Island is maybe the most beautiful area of Michigan. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And he was walking around saying he hates it. Why does he hate it? Because rich people live there. Of course, that's the real reason he hates it. Because again, it's about hatred of capitalism, because they claim that hatred of capitalism undergirds evil American imperialism. Now, here's the reality. For people like Abdul El-Sayed or Zoran Mamdani, they don't hate the capitalism nearly as much as they hate America's foreign policy. Their hatred for America is due to America's foreign policy, not the capitalism. But if they can claim that what they're really going after is the capitalism, then the left buys in. So here's Abdul El-Sayed ripping on Mackinac Island a few years back.
Please watch your step.
Like this charming Americana Island. He says he hates it so much.
Like, if we win, this is going to be the summer home. I'm just going to be like, every time I've ever come here, I've hated it. Why am I here?
He hates it every
that is
time.
a fact.
But what is there to hate? Look around him.
Tracy,
He hates it every
that's
time.
right.
Why did he hate it? Well, again, he says, Mike Rogers points out that Mackinac is great. And Syed goes, both of these multimillionaires can afford a weekend on Mackinac Island. How about you and your family? So it's all about the rich people. It's about the rich people. But the answer is he just hates America. He really does. We can have our first full-scale America-hating senator. I mean, that's how close we are.
I mean, a lot of these things that Ben Shapiro is talking about comes down to people just hating America for no reason, simply because they can, and it gets clicks and it gets views, and there's a certain sect of our society that wants to agree that everything sucks, everything's all bad, nothing is good, and sort of that victim mentality, lack of agency type of mindset. And it's just not true. There are plenty of good things happening here in America and good people doing good shit. And we should celebrate that at the same time as like, okay, what are also some of the glaring issues that we have that we can fix at the same time of being really grateful and appreciative of the life we can live here? And how can we allow and give the best opportunities to all of our citizens to flourish? And yeah, exactly right. But they never leave America. And they never leave, but they hate this fucking place. Interesting. Isn't that funny? That's right. Good. Very good point, my friend.
If woke 2.0 gets its way. And here's the thing. Woke 2.0, you hated woke 1.0, right? It was ruining careers. It was canceling people. It was terrible. Woke 2.0 will be way, way worse than woke 1.0. Why? Because unlike woke 1.0, there is nothing self-refuting about the idea that America is evil in the world. Right? You can go around and you can look around your life in America and say, listen, this doesn't seem that racist to me. It doesn't seem that white supremacist. I don't see the problem. But woke 2.0 is not about that. It's about saying that America is evil in the world. This is why Gaza has become a litmus test for the left. Because again, the idea is that America is evil, like Nazi Germany, supporting those Jewish Nazis over there. That's the idea. It's untrue. It's a lie, and it's a disgusting lie at that. But people are significantly more apt to believe that line of crap because there's ugly images that do come out of the Middle East. And again, you don't have to know that much. You say, oh, that's really ugly. That's really terrible. It's a lot easier to believe that America was bad in Iraq than to believe that all your neighbors are racist. And the left, of course, is perfectly happy with woke 2.0. They're perfectly happy with woke 1.0. They'll say all the words. Yeah. They'll fly all the flags. They'll put up all of the little insignias on their profiles. They may have to avoid like a few easy pitfalls, shave the rough edges off Hassan Piker by claiming, as the media do, he's just, he just has comments on Israel. Not that he's a full-scale terrorism supporter, or pretend that Zohar Mamdani is just critical of corporations, not capitalism, the way that John Idiot Stewart does. But again, that's not that hard. Rolling Stone will do that. What an amazing video you just watched. Wasn't that
What an amazing video you just watched. Thanks, Ben Shapiro.